Hi, this is Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com, right back here on WagerTalk TV with your NFL Fade the Public video for Week 14 of the regular season this Sunday, December the 11th. I'm going to give you the four most public sides in the NFL for this Sunday, along with a bonus public underdog. All that free for you on this video here in just a moment. Quick reminder that December is an excellent month to be an all sports client. You know, about 3 weeks ago, I made the offer by December, get the rest of November free. Many of you jumped on board. I've quite simply gone 35 and 15, 70% the past few weeks since making that offer. We head into this weekend on a 35 and 15, 70% all sports run, and it's not too late to get the rest of December for a very special price. $199 gets it done right now. Every play, every day and night for the rest of 2022. Every college basketball, pro basketball, college football, and NFL best bet on a daily basis for just $199. No promo code needed. Get it on my page right now, Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. If you sit back and watch winner after winner pass you by for several weeks now, 35 and 15, 70% run, isn't it time you got on board and joined in on the winning ways? The rest of 2022 for just $199. Every football and basketball best bet every day, including a powerful NFL Sunday. Don't miss the best bets this NFL Sunday on my page right now, Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. All right, let's get to the most public plays for Week 14 this Sunday, December the 11th in the NFL. Two games were very public, two of the most public sides I've seen all season. One goes early, one goes late. Also a couple of additional public plays as well. So two early games, two late games. Let's start in start time order. I'll give you the most public 1 o'clock Eastern game, and that's the Tennessee Titans minus 3.5. Tennessee looking extremely public against the Jacksonville Jaguars. And this line actually has come down from the look-ahead line. Initial look at opening line was -4. Now it's just 3.5. So we've seen a little bit of action on Jacksonville, even though the public is heavy on Tennessee in this game. You know, Jacksonville's a team that really maybe turned their season around with that come from behind win against Baltimore. You know, the public was heavy on the Ravens 2 weeks ago. We had a strong best bet on the Jaguars in that game. Jacksonville drove the length of the field down 27-20. Trevor Lawrence had an excellent drive in the fourth quarter, and then Jacksonville went for two, got the outright win without overtime, and upset Baltimore the Sunday after Thanksgiving. They obviously were flat last week, losing 40-14 on the road at Detroit. So the question is, do they bounce back this week? The public does not think so, and they're backing the Titans, who after that monster 8 straight spread covers and 7 out of 8 wins, has gone 0-2 straight up in ATS their last 2 games, and their offense is struggling. Just 16 points and 10 points scored against Cincinnati and Philadelphia while giving up 55 points. And what should be concerning for Titans fans is Tennessee had no turnovers in those last 2 games and still lost both straight up in ATS. In fact, they have not forced any turnovers in 3 straight games, and they've only forced 1 turnover or less in their last 6 games. So Tennessee's got to start forcing some turnovers. And one thing Jacksonville's been doing pretty well recently, even though they're a young team, is not turning the ball over. They've had 1 turnover less in 6 of their last 7 games. And, of course, Tennessee is a heavy run-based offense. Jacksonville's actually been good against the run defense this year. Has been good, 4.1 allowed against teams that average 4.4. Where the Jags have really struggled defensively is against the pass. 7.2 allowed against teams that averages 6.5. That'll be less of a concern against Tennessee. So it's actually not a bad matchup for Jacksonville. Yet the public is fading them here, and Tennessee is a very public side, one of the most public sides I've seen in quite a few months at 1 o'clock Eastern. Another game that's a little less public, but still a public play nonetheless, also at 1 o'clock Eastern, is the Cincinnati Bengals minus 5.5. Public fade in Cleveland here, which is interesting because Cleveland is coming off back-to-back wins and it covers a come behind against Tampa. Keep in mind, that was an additional lean I gave you was Tampa a couple weeks ago as the public was fading Cleveland. Last week, the public obviously wanted nothing to do with the Houston Texans. But Cleveland did win that game, even though it was a very lackluster performance from Deshaun Watson. It was only his first game back since the preseason after the 11-game suspension, a random 11-game suspension. He just happens to return for a game against his former team, the Houston Texans. Coincidence? I think not, but that's a whole nother subject with the hypocritical NFL and their policies. Nonetheless, Watson did not look great last week. He did not have to do much, though, against a terrible Texans team that's only won 1 game all season. Big step up in class this week against Cincinnati. And on the surface, you can understand why the public is backing the Bengals. I mean, minus 5.5 is pretty cheap for the defending AFC champs, who are 8-4 after a slow start. They've gone 8-4 straight up overall, 9-3 against the number. You know, everybody wrote them off after that overtime loss to Pittsburgh back in week 1 and the slow start against Dallas early in September as well with backup quarterback in there. Dak Prescott out. But the Bengals don't look now. Have gone 9-1 ATS in all other games, 9-3 overall in all games. And once again, the public is starting to catch on, and they're backing them here this week. Cincinnati is also 6-1 straight up in ATS, including 4 straight wins and covers over the last couple months. So one of the hottest, best money makers in the NFL, and the public is noticing, and they're backing Cincinnati minus a 5.5. Quickly on the injury front, T. Higgins, wide receiver for the Bengals, is expected to play despite the hamstring issue. Amari Cooper, Cleveland's number 1 receiver, did sit out Friday's practice because of the hip injury, and he's currently listed as we head into the weekend as questionable for the game against Cincinnati. So we'll keep an eye on the Amari Cooper situation. That could be a problem for the Bengals. I doubt that's the reason the public is fading them, because they don't pay a lot of attention to injury information. We, of course, do. But once again, Cincinnati Bengals minus 5.5 is the second most public play at 1 o'clock Eastern Sunday. All right, there's 2 very public plays at 4 o'clock Eastern, including one of the most public plays I've seen all season. I'm going to give that to you here in just a moment. Quick reminder, I've got a powerful NFL card for this Sunday. And by the way, it's my birthday this week, and I'm not a big birthday guy. I believe age is just a number. Now, I love numbers. I kind of like birthdays. But we've got a special birthday offer for me on my page right now. It wasn't my idea. WagerTalk wanted to do it. And that is a very special offer for Sunday Pro Football. Put it this way, it's an extreme discount to get my Sunday NFL best bets. $19 gets everything. I wasn't going to mention it here in the video, but I thought I might as well, because I know many of you love special offers. Once again, if you want to get NFL Sunday for just $19, including all my best bets, every sport, that is available right now. I did mention it at the top of the video, saving that as a little bonus for those of you that watch throughout the video. But once again, I'm a big believer in taking an all sports daily approach. So I do think by far the best value is still that $199 all sports, all access for the rest of December, the rest of 2022, basketball and football. But hey, look, if you want a one-day special, you want to celebrate my birthday weekend with me, check out the $19 Sunday. It's a fantastic offer. It's available right now. It's all of my best bets for Sunday, and I do love this NFL card this week. And once again, no promo code needed, whether you do the Sunday special for $19 or if you want that $199 rest of the year special for football and basketball, 35 and 15, 70% all sports run the past few weeks. No promo code needed. It's quite simple. Just go to my page right now, select the offer that suits you best, and get all my best bets. Keep in mind, the games I'm using daily as a personal best bet are the exact same plays you get. There's one set of plays, and they're the exact same plays I've used on a daily basis for the past 26 years. Get them right now, Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. Hey, get there quicker with shortcut code WT.buzz/SM. All right, let's look at the 2 late games at 4 o'clock Eastern this Sunday, December the 11th. One of the most public plays I've seen all season. I mentioned Tennessee was very public at 1 o'clock Eastern. Another game is very public at 4:25 Eastern. That's the Seattle Seahawks. They're currently minus 3.5 to minus 4 at home against the Carolina Panthers. And it's understandable. I mean, on the surface, you've got a 7-5 Seattle team that's been a solid team all season long against a 4-8 Carolina team. Both teams, surprisingly, actually are 6-6 against the spread, so it hasn't been a huge difference there. This line opened as high as 7. It's now down to 3.5, 4. So we have seen a substantial line drop this week. Money coming in on the Panthers. Definitely some injury concerns in this game as well. Keep an eye on those reports. Carolina is a team that's alternated wins and losses each of the last 4 weeks. But they have, despite going just 2-3, actually just 3-3 straight up their last 6, they've gone 5-1 against the number. They've been very competitive, and they've actually covered 3 straight. So this should be a close game on the surface, but Seattle's been the better team this year. But it looks like they are starting to regress a bit. Seattle's failed to cover now 3 straight games, and they've lost 2 of their last 3 straight up. Their only win was against a hapless LA Rams team last week on the road, but they still failed to cover that game, winning by just 4 as a 6.5-point favorite. Public doesn't care, though. They're back in the Seahawks here, and I think they're also somewhat fading the Panthers in this game, as Carolina's been a team that's been faded quite often, and Seattle obviously the much better offense, and that's what jumps out here, averaging 26.5 points, 6.3 yards per play. Carolina averaging just 19 points, just 5.4 yards per play. So substantial offensive edge for the Seahawks, but the Panthers actually qualify as the better defensive team in this game. So we'll see how it turns out. But once again, Tennessee at 1 Eastern and Seattle at 4 Eastern are by far the 2 most public plays this week in the NFL. One other game also on the late card at 4 o'clock Eastern, at 4:05 Eastern, that's pretty public, is the Kansas City Chiefs -9. Not a surprise here. I mean, Denver, one of the worst offensive teams in recent history, really setting records for offense ineptitude, if you will. And keep in mind, they just gave Russell Wilson a huge payday this season. It has not made a difference. This has been a terrible offense. And what's a shame from a Denver perspective is that they actually have a really good defense statistically, which is even better considering how bad their offense is. It puts the defense on the field more, puts them in bad situations. And with that said, Denver defense is still allowing just 17 points a game, just 5 yards per play against teams that average 5.7 overall. However, Kansas City is by far the best offense they'll face. 29 points, 6.6 yards per play. And it's hard to go against the Chiefs after a loss. Kansas City will be very focused here. A very winnable game against Cincinnati last week. They found a way to blow that. They did have a 1-0 turnover deficit. In fact, they've held the turnover advantage only once in the past 5 games. And that's one of the reasons they've gone just 2-3 ATS while going 4-1 straight up. Hard to say Kansas City is underrated, but I do feel like they maybe are flying a bit under the radar. Defense is playing better than people realize. They've actually gone under for their last 5 games overall, even with that explosive offense. And the reason being is they've held 3 of their past 5 opponents to 17 points or less. So you would think they have a nice matchup edge against this terrible Denver offense that has now scored 16 points or less in 6 of their last 7 games. And in fact, they have scored 10 points or less in 4 of those last 7 games. So Kansas City most likely will slow down Denver. And, once Denver gets behind, it's going to be very hard for them to catch up. And the Chiefs are an explosive offensive team. So Kansas City, one of the most public plays this week at -9. But I'm not sure I'm in a hurry to fade the Kansas City Chiefs off a loss, especially with this Denver offense that has very limited backdoor cover potential. All right, those are the 4 most public plays this week in the NFL. Once again, on the early card, Tennessee, followed by Cincinnati. On the late card, Seattle, followed by Kansas City. Those are the 4 most public sides. Those of you that are new to the video, by the way, I should have said this at the beginning because I know so many of you watch for a couple years now, but we, of course, do get new viewers every week. By the way, feel free to ask questions. Leave comments below. I read all the comments. I reply back. I love to answer questions. I know we have a lot of new bettors, a lot of new viewers out there. The premise to fading the public is basically the most public sides, the most consensus sides are going to have inflated numbers. And in the long run, fading them, you do get a little bit of line value. In fact, I started this video late November of 2020, a couple years ago, and we went an incredible 31-8 through the Super Bowl. So we kept it going, and it does work better later in the season. We're kind of in that sweet spot right now. A couple Sundays ago, Fading the Public went 6-1 here on all plays and opinions. 4 official plays for you this week that I just mentioned. Use it as a filter, as a part of a factor, as part of your handicapping arsenal. We don't just blindly fade the public. They're not always wrong. I like to use it as kind of a deciding factor. If you're on a game borderline, it might be enough to get you to play it. If you're on the fade side, if you're on the consensus side, it might be enough to keep it off your card. Just some different ways to use this information. One thing I love to do, though, is to fade public underdogs. And none of those 4 were dogs this week, unfortunately. But there was one game that was just a bit outside from making the cut. And I'll give it to you as the top public dog this week. It'll be an additional lean. We'll call it a lean. And that's the New York Jets +10 against the Super Bowl favorite Buffalo Bills. And this is an interesting matchup because the Jets have been a very good defensive team this year. So it's understandable why the public has given them some love. Jets are 7-5 straight up, 7-5 against the number. Bills are 9-3 straight up, but just 6-5-1 against the number this year. They have failed to cover 4 of their last 6 games. Nice bounce back last week on Thursday Night Football against New England, a 14-point win. They do have a mini bye here, a little extra time off. But the public doesn't care. Public sentiment is on the Jets +10 in this game, and not an official play, not as strong as the other 4 I gave you, but of all the underdogs this week, this would be the most public dog and an additional lean. So I wanted to point that out. We give you additional leans here, games that just missed the cut, and the fact that that was a public dog, I wanted to point it out because that really is what I believe is the sweet spot, is to fade public dogs in the NFL, and the Jets would be your best option this week as far as a public dog goes. And I've got no problem backing Buffalo, obviously. I mean, it is the best team in the NFL. They're starting to find their groove here with 3 straight wins. I know they barely got by Detroit on Thanksgiving Day. Nice win, as I said, against New England. They do have Miami on deck, so another big divisional game, but I don't think they'll overlook the Jets, who have a winning record. New York does qualify as a good defensive dog. They give up just 5 yards per play against teams that average 5.7. They give up just 18.5 points a game, so I can understand why the public likes the Jets here, getting a full 10 points. A good defensive dog. But once again, Buffalo, a very good offensive team, 411 yards per game, 6.5 yards per play. So we'll see if that Jets defense can get it done. And more concerning, of course, would be the Jets offense. When they get behind, they do not have much backdoor cover potential. And that's obviously a concern against what is a pretty good Buffalo defense. You know, a lot of people talk about this Buffalo offense, but the defense is extremely good as well. And I actually think remains very underrated this year in the NFL. In fact, Buffalo's defense overall on the season is giving up just 5.4 yards per play and just 17.5 points a game. They actually give up less points, a full point less than the New York Jets are giving up on the season. And of course, the Jets remain without preferred starter Zach Wilson. They still have Mike White, the most plain name in all of sports. Mike White at quarterback. He had a great game a couple weeks ago against a shorthanded Bears team at home and a bad defensive team. Mike White and the New York Jets did not fare as well at Minnesota last week, failing to win or cover. So we'll see how the Jets fare. Once again, a little bit lighter lean on that one as the other four, but still the most public dog this week. Hey, hope you found this information useful. As always, it's a filter, it's a factor, it's a part of the handicapping process. If you want my official best bets, the games I think have the strongest opportunity of cashing this Sunday, special offer birthday weekend. I normally don't hype it up much, but WagerTalk wanted to do something special. $19 Sunday gets all of my best bets for football and basketball. $19 complete. Normally one day is $39, so that's over a 50% discount for this Sunday. That offer is available right now. Lock in early. The minute the games are available, they'll be emailed, sent to you directly. You'll get a message. You can also log in and find them. Once again, it's a huge offer this Sunday. Just $19 for my entire best bet card for this Sunday. All football and any additional basketball included. Of course, if you're ready to take a serious investment approach, the $199 December special is the way to go. 35 and 15, 70% the past few weeks as we head into this weekend in all sports, college and pro basketball, college football bowls, NFL, the rest of 2022 for just $199. No promo code needed. Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. So whether you want the rest of the year for $199 or if you want that Super Sunday special this Sunday for just $19, no promo code needed. Go to my page right now, Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com, and cash in big. I love the NFL card this Sunday. Several strong best bets. Don't miss out on this 35 and 15, 70% all sports run. Hey, get there quicker with shortcut code WT.buzz/SM. All right, hope you enjoyed the video. Best of luck this weekend. Leave me some comments below. Any questions, as always, I'll be happy to answer them. And let me know your thoughts on the public plays this week. Where you agree or disagree. 6-point teasers, always love to see those. Public, I'd love to see the fade the public recommendations, but I also love player props as well. We don't talk a lot of props here in this video, but it's a great way to make money. If you have some player props, leave them in the chat below. It's all about winning. It's us against the sportsbooks. Let's win together. Give the video a thumbs up and hit subscribe and hit that bell for instant alerts when these videos go live each and every week here on WagerTalk TV. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter also at Steve Merril. 2 R's, 1 L. You know the deal. At Steve Merril on Twitter. And I'll be back this week on numerous shows here on WagerTalk TV. Don't forget WagerTalk Today, college basketball tip-off, NBA as well. Great shows here on WagerTalk TV on YouTube. And don't forget to download the WagerTalk TV app for your favorite mobile device. Also listen to us podcast style on your favorite podcast apps. Have a huge winning weekend. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you again soon right here on WagerTalk TV.